Have you ever stopped to wonder why Jews and Muslims still avoid pork to this day, but Christians eat it without giving it a second thought? Sounds like just a dietary preference, right? But here's the thing most people don't know, and hardly anyone tells you. This choice hides one of the biggest spiritual secrets out there, shaped over thousands of years through faith, strength, and deep awareness. And the craziest part, this story actually has everything to do with your life today. While a lot of folks think it's just about tradition or health, the truth runs way deeper. The scriptures talk about purity, obedience, and even a revolutionary spiritual freedom brought by Jesus. This is where beliefs collide, debates heat up, and you realize that at the end of the day, every bite you take might actually be an act of faith or of freedom. Get ready. In this video, we're diving into centuries of history, uncovering forgotten spiritual mysteries, and showing how something as simple as food shaped religions, consciousness, positivity, and even identity. And who knows? This might just change the way you see what ends up on your plate. Let's take this journey together with God and some serious spiritual wisdom. From way back when people still wandered through deserts and lived in tents, God laid down laws that went way beyond just eating. For Jews and Muslims, avoiding pork wasn't a casual suggestion. It was a full-on expression of spirituality and awareness. They understood that their physical actions reflected their devotion to God and their pursuit of purity and positivity. According to scriptures like Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy 14, pigs were considered unclean, not just off the menu, but symbolic of the divide between the physical and the spiritual. It wasn't just about the animal. It was about the discipline and strength it took to obey God, even when no one was watching. Picture someone out in the desert, surrounded by hunger and temptation, still choosing to honor the Creator in even the smallest decisions. That, my friend, is spiritual awareness in real life. And let's be real, how many of us today can say no to a craving when hunger hits hard? This has always been a big challenge. This restriction didn't just shape diet, it built identity and character. Being set apart, being holy, meant making sacrifices and standing firm. And even today, when so many voices compete for our attention and our faith, that daily decision to walk a spiritual path, despite the struggle, is still an act of strength and devotion. And as we'll see next, this wasn't just spiritual, it also had some super practical reasons too. Think about the ancient Middle East. Scorching heat, water like gold, and staying healthy, a daily battle. In His infinite wisdom, God gave His people rules that protected them on every level. Back then, eating pork could be dangerous. Diseases like trichinosis were real threats. So that restriction was also a practical act of love and protection, showing just how deeply God cared for His people. It was about survival and spirituality. It wasn't just about avoiding harm. It was about building a lifestyle of awareness, protection, and collective positivity. Imagine a group of nomads trekking through the desert, where a single bad meal could mean life or death. Following these rules was a way to obey God and live wisely. Even today, choosing a clean, mindful diet away from trends and junk food is a modern echo of that same awareness and discipline. That balance between physical care and spiritual connection is what keeps these traditions alive, because let's face it, even in our fast food, convenience-driven world, making thoughtful choices is still an act of faith and strength. And trust me, the reasons for these dietary laws don't stop there. Now here's the heart of it all. For Jews and Muslims, avoiding pork isn't about health or habit. It's a daily reminder of who they are spiritually. Every meal is a chance to reaffirm their faith, their strength, and their spiritual awareness. It's like a silent badge of honor that says, I choose to live by higher values. See, in a world where most people do what's easy, these believers do what's meaningful. For example, tons of Muslims today, even in Western countries, go out of their way to eat halal food with pride. And Jews keep kosher as a living expression of their respect for God. It's not about restriction, It's about spiritual freedom, the freedom to choose on purpose. And that kind of spiritual standard doesn't just shape what's on the table, it shapes your entire life. Because really, how can you expect to be faithful in big things if you can't stay consistent in the small ones? That's the kind of thinking that makes you question not just what you eat, but who you are and what you stand for. And this is where everything shifts with Jesus. When Jesus started teaching, he flipped the script, not with swords, but with ideas. He challenged the ritual-obsessed mindset of the time and pointed people towards something deeper. Real spirituality comes from the heart, not the plate. Nothing that enters a person from the outside can make them unclean, he said, Mark 7:18-19. That was a game changer. From that point on, faith and positivity were meant to guide your intentions, not just your habits. This got even clearer when Peter had his vision in Acts 10. God basically told him the old food rules weren't barriers anymore. Imagine the shock, a devout Jew hearing from God that the times had changed. This new freedom wasn't permission to go wild. It was a call to spiritual maturity and a mission to spread Jesus' message beyond borders. From then on, Christian spirituality stopped focusing on what's on your plate and started focusing on what's in your heart. And that freedom, while simple, came with serious responsibility. The freedom Jesus offered wasn't a license for carelessness. Paul, with all his wisdom and spiritual awareness, said it best. Everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. 1 Corinthians 10:23. In other words, God gave us freedom, but with it comes the responsibility to think about the impact of our choices, spiritually and socially. Picture an early Christian in a mixed faith community, Jews, Gentiles, different backgrounds. Eating pork might confuse or offend less mature believers. So even with freedom, he had to use his spiritual strength to think of others. Fast forward to today. You might have the freedom to post whatever you want online, but does it build people up? Does it reflect your spiritual awareness and positivity? That kind of conscious freedom is what separates a mature believer from someone just looking for convenience. And that maturity showed up even in food choices. Which brings us to a bigger point. Religious diets are about way more than what you eat. They're like divine lesson plans. In Judaism, kosher isn't just about food. It's about identity, discipline, and spirituality. Every bite is a reminder of your covenant with God, even when no one's watching. In Islam, halal goes beyond health. It's about submission, a word that scares people today, but spiritually, it's powerful. Choosing to obey God when it'd be easier not to, that takes spiritual depth and positivity that goes beyond instant gratification. A lot of Muslims say this discipline strengthens not just their faith, but their whole sense of self. And in Christianity, food freedom represents grace. It's not the absence of rules. It's the ability to choose with love and awareness. A freedom that doesn't exclude others, but includes them. Once you really get this, you start to realize that your food choices say a lot more about who you are before God than most people think. Nowadays, with so many cultures and beliefs side by side, understanding these differences isn't just about curiosity, it's about respect and awareness. When you get that someone's dietary habits carry generations of spiritual strength and identity, you stop judging and start honoring those differences. Think about it. Even something as small as turning down a dish at dinner can be a powerful act of faith. I once met a young Muslim girl on a student exchange in the US. She stuck to her halal diet the entire time, not as a burden, but as a bridge between her faith and her new world. So while some people only see rules, others, those with spiritual maturity and awareness, see purpose. And once we really start looking at these traditions through eyes of understanding, we see that even the smallest daily choices can be powerful acts of faith. So let me ask you, how are you expressing your faith in the little choices you make every day? Are you living with awareness and that inner positivity that reflects true spirituality? Or are you letting autopilot run the show? Today, you've seen that what's on your plate is just the surface. Underneath are the values that shape who you are before God. You've learned how Jews, Muslims, and Christians carry powerful lessons in discipline, freedom, and spiritual strength through their eating habits. And guess what? This isn't just ancient history. It's completely relevant to your life right now. So take a second to reflect. How can your daily choices better align your faith with your actions? And tell me, what decision are you going to make today to honor your faith and connect deeper with your essence and with Jesus? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, if this video opened your eyes and stirred your soul, hit that subscribe button, tap the bell, and come walk this journey of wisdom, spirituality, and transformation with me. See you in the next one.